Welcome to Loop Theme Park Adventures and our Grading Coasters series here on the channel, where we take a look at the roller coaster offerings at the major theme parks we visit and give each of them a grade from A+ to F-. In today's video, we're grading the roller coasters at arguably the best theme park in the UK and home to the secret weapon projects, Alton Towers Resort in Staffordshire. If you enjoy what we do here at Loop Theme Park Adventures, then we'd love it if you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for loads more theme park related content. Alton Towers Resort is set in the Staffordshire countryside, nestled in acres of meticulously landscaped and well-maintained gardens, and is home to 10 operating roller coasters, including a number of world firsts and record breakers. In this video, I'll be grading 9 of those. Sorry Octonauts, but you just get an honourable mention this time. So how do Alton's coasters stack up? We begin with the poster child of the early 90s. Choo Choo! The Runaway Mine Train is a Mack Rides powered coaster which opened at the resort in 1992 and for many years was very much the face of Alton Towers, if roller coasters had a face. Every advert and TV spot back in the 90s would heavily feature this family favourite theme park staple, featuring helices, shallow drops and a dive into the tunnel shared with the Congo River Rapids, which provides a nice interaction for riders of both attractions. Runaway Mine Train hits all the right beats during its 2 laps of family-friendly fun, and that's exactly what this is. It's a junior coaster, an ideal starting point for budding thrill seekers before they step up and face the bigger and badder rides. It's a solid little coaster with some nice western style theming, and it gets a solid C from me. Speaking of bigger and badder, in 1994 Alton Towers unveiled their most ambitious project to date, and the first of their infamous secret weapon roller coasters to open at the resort. Nemesis. This B&M invert was the first of its kind in Europe and is dubbed the most intense ride experience in the world. And while there are a few attractions that have opened in the years since that could lay claim to that title, there is no doubt that Nemi still packs as much punch as an Anthony Joshua uppercut. The story goes that during excavation works, a long dormant alien creature was awakened, and to prevent it from wreaking havoc on the park, it was pinned down by tons of twisted steel, and as unsuspecting guests, we get to ride that twisted steel. Nemesis is sunk into the ground, providing numerous terrain-based near misses and an enhanced sensation of speed thanks to the proximity to its surroundings, and features 4 awesome inversions. The pick of the bunch being the 0G roll midway down the first drop, before a forceful helix drags you underground and then up over the station via a corkscrew. You bank around before sweeping back down into a vertical loop. The following turn is possibly the one dead point of the ride, although I prefer to think of it as a chance to catch my breath before a final corkscrew whips you upside down one more time, sending you into the last turn before the brakes. It's relatively short, but Nemi packs so much in and does it with force and intensity while remaining relatively smooth for a 26-year-old attraction. It truly is a world-class coaster and my personal favourite in the UK, so I'm grading Nemesis an A. For me, it's the jewel in the crown of Alton Towers and remains one of the finest B&M inverted coasters of all time. Don't look down. Oblivion's infamous tagline has existed since the ride's inception in 1998 as the world's first B&M dive coaster, and while the audio is long gone, thanks ropers, and the length of time you're held at the top of the drop has greatly reduced in the years since then, Oblivion's 180-foot not quite vertical drop into a hole in the ground still packs plenty of oomph. Oblivion's a ride built around one element, and while that element is effective, it's a bit of a shame that bar an overbank turn to bring the riders back to the station, there isn't more to this coaster, and I guess that is the risk with prototypes. The original idea is cool, and for a while it's the best thing ever, but then more parks take the concept further, and as a result, Oblivion has started to feel a little dated when compared to the likes of SheiKra, Yukon Striker and Valkyria. That being said, it still offers an experience like nothing else at Alton Towers. Eats through queues, and even the now very 90s looking video being played on old standard definition screens works in a sort of creepy, retro, Dharma Initiative kind of way. We'll just pretend that the season Oblivion got covered in Fanta sponsorship never happened. Oblivion gets a B-. It's aged a little, but still offers a thrilling ride experience which you rarely have to wait more than a few minutes for. In 2002, Alton Towers opened their 3rd successive secret weapon roller coaster, and like the previous 2, B&M were brought in to bring ride designer John Wardley's vision to life. Originally opened as Air and later rethemed to Galactica, this was the world's first B&M flying coaster, which, as the name suggests, is a ride designed to simulate the sensation of flight. Galactica sits at the far end of Forbidden Valley, offering a very different ride experience to its neighbour, Nemesis, one which is more serene and relaxed, with a couple of more forceful moments to keep you on your toes, such as the fly to lie sections and the big final turn over the car park towards the end of the course. The retheme to Galactica brought the Stargate theming piece, along with one of the most epic soundtracks you'll hear courtesy of Imascore, as well as new screens in the station, but the infamous tunnel as the train exits the station still remains unthemed, which is definitely an opportunity to improve how immersive the all-round experience is. Much like Oblivion, with Galactica being a prototype model, it was swiftly eclipsed by bigger and better versions at other parks, such as Manta, Tatsu and Starry Night Flyer, and while it's far from being the most intense or exciting coaster experience at the park, it still provides a unique sensation and gets a C grade from me. The cycle of secret weapon coasters was put on hold for a few years, and in 2004, Spinball Wizard opened at the park, a free spinning coaster manufactured by Maura Rides. Spinball has a compact footprint, with the ride experience primarily focusing on drops and helices to induce spinning. This is essentially what would happen if a roller coaster and a waltzer had a baby, which is a weird mental image, so maybe don't give it too much thought, and offers some surprisingly forceful moments if you get the weight balance right in the cars. This also makes it something of an inconsistent ride though, as you have a really decent ride followed by a less impressive one. Overall though, this is an enjoyable family coaster, a step up from Runaway Mine Train, but certainly not one of the elite rides at the park, so this gets a C- grade. If there was an award for strangest roller coaster name, then Rita might just win it. The former Queen of Speed is an Intamin launch coaster based in the Dark Forest area of Alton Towers, which opened at the resort in 2005 and features a launch from 0 to 100 km/h in a couple of seconds and blitzes through a figure-8 course gliding over a couple of airtime hills along the way. Airtime hills that would be vastly improved if Rita's trains were to have lap bars instead of bulky over-the-shoulder restraints, something which I've never quite fathomed the requirement for, and unfortunately the restraints do hold Rita back a bit. The tagline, "You must escape," as the train launches out of the station, is unintentionally self-referential in this respect. Ultimately, the speed is what this coaster is all about, and the punchy launch coupled with some fun elements does make this an enjoyable ride, but it's also quite forgettable if I'm honest. So many of the major attractions at Alton Towers have a clear theme, but Rita stands out a little bit and has never quite settled into her surroundings. I'm giving Rita a C grade. Like Ronseal, it does what it says on the tin, but it's let down by the unnecessary over-the-shoulder restraints, which subtract airtime while adding a bit of head banging. 8 years after Air, Alton Towers resumed secret weapons service with one of their most mysterious projects to date. The ride that became known as 13 was shrouded in secrecy during construction, with enthusiasts eagerly debating what the secret element inside the show building could be. And to their credit, Alton Towers did a good job of keeping this quiet until the time came for the ride to open. The surprise element, it turned out, was the world's first drop track section on a roller coaster. Unfortunately, what hurt 13 when it first opened was its marketing as a sci coaster, and by that I don't mean it featured dreadlocked hippies dancing in a field, but rather the campaign that suggested it was so scary riders would need to sign a waiver before boarding, or that it was every ride you've ever dreamed of rolled into one. The problem with this approach was that 13 is a family thrill coaster with a 1.2 metre height limit, creating some disparity between expectation and reality. Once you get past that though, what you have is a really fun attraction, with a clear narrative about a haunted forest taking over its surroundings, and a ride experience that features a nice drop and a couple of low-key airtime moments as you wind through the trees, before entering the indoor section which teases you with a short fake-out drop before you descend through the floor and into a backwards helix. Like many, I was a little underwhelmed with 13 when it first opened, but over the years have come to appreciate it as the underrated gem at Alton Towers, and one of the finest family coasters we have here in the UK, so I'm going to give it a B-. The Smiler is a Gerstlauer infinity coaster which opened at Alton Towers in 2013 in the X sector on the site of the Black Hole, and to date still holds the world record for the most inversions, turning riders upside down 14 times during its two-part course. The pick of the bunch for me being the Sea Serpent roll, and yet it still finds room for a couple of hefty airtime hills in amongst all the twisted track. While the Smiler remains one of the most popular attractions on site, often building up the largest wait times, there are certainly aspects of it that can be a bit like Marmite. Depending on your opinion, the soundtrack is either a work of genius that perfectly encapsulates the Ministry of Joy theming, or it's the most irritating piece of music since Crazy Frog. And it's hard to ignore some of the rougher aspects of the ride experience, most notably the exit out of the Cobra roll and the entrance into the first Heartline roll, which have been jerky from the season it opened. The main theming element, a giant 360 screen on metal spider-like legs, is original and like nothing else I've seen in the industry, and the fact that the Smiler is capable of dueling with itself due to its two-part course makes it a stunning attraction to watch off-ride. The views from the top of each lift hill looking out over the towers is also a positive. However, I've never quite bought into the hype with the Smiler. I know plenty of people who absolutely love it, and I can see what makes it so appealing, but the flaws do hold it back slightly for me, so I'm grading it a B-. Last but certainly not least is Wickerman. Alton Towers' most recent secret weapon project is a Great Coasters International wooden roller coaster which opened in 2018, and for the first time it kind of felt like Alton Towers jumped the shark a bit with their secret weapon gimmick, with the Wickerman being the first roller coaster to combine wood and fire. This is achieved by the impressive main theming element, affectionately known as Big Bob, which is a huge wooden structure of a man's face on one side and a goat's head on the other, which spews out balls of flame on the 3 moments of the ride where the train interacts with it. It's a great spectacle, particularly at night. In terms of the ride experience, once you get past the weirdly angled and slightly jerky lift hill, you're greeted with various drops, hills, tunnels and turns, which for the most part are nicely paced. If you can leave yourself a bit of a gap between your lap and the restraint, then there are a few really nice moments of airtime to be had here, particularly the final drop through the Wickerman, which has produced standing airtime for me on numerous occasions. Wickerman in many ways is the opposite to 13, in that when you look at the stats and the marketing, you'd be forgiven for not expecting much more than a middle-of-the-road woody. Yet Wickerman manages to be greater than the sum of its parts, offering an exciting all-round experience of storyline, theme and thrills, and when the sun goes down it really comes into its own, arguably offering the best night ride we have here in the UK. If there is one criticism, it's the pitch black tunnel at the end of the course. This is a ride with a pre-show that sets up a clear narrative, and a tunnel at the end is a perfect opportunity to finish the story. Some screens, effects or a voiceover here would complete the ride. I'm giving Wickerman a B+ grade. It's probably on balance my second favourite roller coaster at Alton Towers, but it isn't quite up there with the truly elite level woodies. So those are my grades for the 9 major roller coasters at Alton Towers Resort. Do you agree with me? Let me know your thoughts on these attractions in the comments down below, and perhaps even include your own grades. That's all from me for now. Catch you next time here on Loop Theme Park Adventures. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and get involved in the discussion in the comments below. If you'd like to follow our theme park adventures, then subscribe to the channel and enable notifications. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/looptpa and on Instagram @looptpa.